Apprehend God in all things, for God is in all things. Every single creature is filled with God and is a book about God. Amen. Please be seated. So, hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. Did you?
Yes.
Good. That's good. And now we're into the full-blown Christmas holiday time, right? It starts the day after Thanksgiving. If it hasn't already started for you, just know you're behind. So do with that what you will. You're behind. But the thing about the holidays, about the Christmas time, this Christmas time, is that it's just this blend. It's this mix. It's a mix of joy and hope. John talked about it a couple weeks ago. It's a great thing, of joy and hope and expectation and all that stuff. And all of that mixed with one big thing: stress. Right? So you got love and joy and hope and stress. And it's all mixed up together in one big happy family. Right? So because of that, I went and I Googled holiday and family. And you know what popped up? Yeah. What popped up was site after site, article after article on strategies on how to manage your stress with your family. How to manage your holiday stress with your family. Right? So this is a universal thing we're talking about here. So if you have stress, yeah, so does everybody else. Okay? That's just part of the deal. And the hope for us today is that we can help with that stress so that the stress doesn't overwhelm you and take away from the joy and the hope and the beauty of the season. Okay? So if you Google this stuff, they'll give you some practical steps on how to manage stress. And I'll read you just a couple, and then we'll add one from our tradition. Okay? So the first one was about expectations. Have realistic expectations for the holidays. Everything in the world that you want to happen isn't going to happen. So keep your expectations realistic. All right? Don't expect miracles. All right? Yeah, I'll just leave that. Don't overdo it. Simple as that. Don't overdo it. And see, everybody has a different level of what that means, right? A different limit of what it means to don't overdo it. And then the last one I'll read to you is, don't worry about how things should be. If you have up in your mind how things are supposed to be, watch out, because it never will happen, or rarely will happen. Okay? And then the one that's straight from our tradition that I think it's the most helpful for me is start every single holiday gathering, every single one. If it's a party, if it's family coming over, whoever, whatever it is, start every one with thanksgiving. Give thanks. Start there. Don't start from what you hope happens. Start from giving thanks for the people who are all around you. Just as they are. Not how I want them to be, not how I can mold them to be, but just as they are. Okay? And that comes straight out of that comes straight out of the gospel reading from today. Give thanks for the people who are around you as they are. The way the gospel puts it is, you heard that long reading? It's a deep meditation on John's reflection on God being revealed in Jesus. Okay? So it's this deep meditative beauty writing about God being revealed in Jesus. And he calls it the Word. The Word was made flesh and dwells among us. But the thing I want to say to you is, if you can see the Word of God in Jesus, or if I can see the Word of God in Jesus, then we can see the Word of God in each other. I'm going to say it again. If we can see the Word of God in Jesus, then we can see the Word of God in each other. Because that meditation isn't just a reflection on Jesus, it's a reflection on life, material existence. The religious term for it is incarnation. And incarnation is all of us on some level. You got me? You with me? You haven't just drifted off into wherever? Some of you have. So if you have, come back. Come back right now. Okay? Because this is really important. I mean, it really is. It's an important thing to understand that we can reveal the Christ to each other. All right? And this is the way this guy named Parker Palmer puts it. And he puts it as well as anybody in writing has ever put it. And if you want a nice little holiday book to read throughout the season, this is a good one. It's called Let Your Life Speak. Let Your Life Speak. And I don't usually read to you guys, but I'm going to read a little bit. Okay? So hang with me. Because it's really important. It really is. All right? And it gets at the idea of being thankful for each person in your life as they are. Because as they are is not an accident, this book says. All right? So, Parker Palmer was in his 50s. And his daughter, who was in her 20s, came to live with him. And she had her newborn baby girl with her. Okay? And he said that he started watching his granddaughter every day. He just watched her, what she did. And he said he realized something in his 50s that he could never see in his 20s as a parent. He said that his granddaughter was this kind of person rather than that kind of person, or that kind of person, or that kind of person. She was unique. Yes. He knows. That's the thing. She was unique. She was a unique child of God. And this is the way he writes about it, okay? He says, my granddaughter did not show up on this earth as raw material to be shaped into whatever image the world might want her to take. Did you hear that? She did not show up as raw material. She came with something that was hers. Okay? And then he says, she arrived with her own gifted form, with the shape of her own sacred soul. Biblical faith calls this the image of God in which we were all created. John's gospel calls it the Word in which we were all created. You see? And what he says is this. In those early years of my granddaughter's life, I began observing the inclinations that she had, all those that were planted in her at birth. He said, I notice, and I still notice, what she likes and dislikes, what she's drawn toward and repelled by, how she moves, what she says, what she does. Now, if any of you have more than one child, you know that they're each unique from birth. They're different. And that's a good thing. That's a God-given thing. Okay? And he says this, I'm going to gather all my observations and put it in a letter. And when she becomes like a teenager or maybe into her early 20s, I'm going to give the letter to her. And he says, and I'm going to preface the letter with something like this. Here is a sketch of who you were from your earliest days in this world. It's not a definitive picture, only you can draw that. But it was sketched by a person who loves you very much. Perhaps these notes will help you do sooner something your grandfather only did later. Remember who you were when you first arrived and reclaim the gift of your true self. Remember who you were when you first arrived and reclaim the gift of the image of God, of the Word of God implanted inside of you. Because if you can see the Word of God in Jesus, then we can see the Word of God in each other. So, if someone were to hand you a letter about who you were in your earliest days, what would it say? Who is your true self? What are you drawn toward? What are you repelled by? See, these are Christmas questions. And this is what we're going to ask for Beckham. This is what we're going to say, is that we know you, we see in you right now the gift that God has put inside of you. And that our hope for him is that he continues to grow into that gift and become more fully who God is creating him to be. The holidays are coming. Well, they're here. If you can see the Word of God in Jesus, then you can see the Word of God in each other. And then give thanks. And let's see what happens to the stress level if you try that out. All right? And we expect a report back on Christmas Eve. Amen.
Amen.